Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Unexpected Revelations. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Great, I have all of my levels set, but I can't hear myself very well. Okay, here we go. We're on the move.
So almost all of them.
Almost all. Hardly. We are on the right track.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, good. So, we went to the Missouri State Fair today.
Aha!
Did indeed.
How many mullets did you see?
One, and
What?
it was
Just one?
Well, it was a person driving a vintage tractor in the tractor parade they had around the fairgrounds. I feel like that counts for like at least 10.
Okay. Fair. How many cut off short overalls did you see?
Oh man, I actually wasn't really looking for that. I'm going to go with that. I assume I was in a proximity of at least one. We were there for 3 hours, so
I'm thinking of things that are like at Midwest fairs, and since it's the state fair, you should have like mega versions of all.
Well,
of these
no,
things.
I will say that the
how many rednecks fighting did you see? That's what
I was going to say, like, I think the state fair like it brings a different caliber of people out because there are like
you have to go further.
You have to go further, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing around here. So like who is coming to this? But yeah, it was Moag Power Day. So it was all about agriculture.
Aha.
And so we got to the kids got to see their very first tractor pull. And it was
oh man.
I was pretty excited.
What a moment in history.
The little guy was very, very excited about this.
I can only imagine he was bursting at the seams.
No idea.
To see.
And it was neat because it was the stock basically of like here are vintage tractors pulling the doing the pull.
Nice.
That was cool because it was like it looks like and tractor because it is and tractor. It's not this grotesquely modified.
Yeah, but those ones like that's the most surprising nonsense you've ever seen in your life. Like I remember I was at the Rogersville one like a long time ago, right?
Yes.
And like either like right after like either high school or like right when I started college, right? And they have all like the super modified and the normal modified, right? And they did all those. You have the big, giant, crazy, like 3 engines in them, right? They're all like spouting flames, all this stuff, right? And then the last one was like the stock category.
Yep.
And it was like this dude had like a big, like, I don't know much about tractors, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bad Missouri boy, I guess. But like a huge one with like a full cab, right? It was an old like Minneapolis Moline. Right. And that thing, it just like it didn't go fast, obviously, but it just drugged the sled like there was absolutely nothing behind it. It was so ridiculous.
Yep. I remember at that same tractor pull, they eventually hitched up an old combine and had that pull, which was a lot of fun.
I
remember that. But yeah, that's what this was. It was just like 14 horsepower, I think that some of the bigger ones were like 70 horsepower tractors. And those things would like boogie.
They go like 3 miles an hour, but they just like pull anything.
They never stop. And some of these old ones, they were like, and here's a 1930 edition. And it just goes put. And so that's what made it enjoyable because it wasn't just from the start. It was the most like unexciting start and finish of like, well, I'm going to start off now in low gear and then I'm going to be done.
I'm going to just drag this behind, right?
And so that was fun.
And it makes sense because their job is to drag just like impossibly large machinery around a field.
Exactly.
So like they're just like whatever. I know.
So that was pretty cool to get out and see
Nice.
the unmodified stock. You know, they are they're well kept, and they may be
That's true.
quite,
And they look recognizable as tractors.
exact. That's what made it fun.
They don't look like some sort of weird monstrosity. It's like, what is that?
Yes.
Now, final question before we move on to the rest of your fair experience.
You're fine.
Normally it's called a truck and tractor pull. So I just want your opinion. Which one is the superior pulling implement? Is it the truck or is it in fact the tractor?
For this,
just for your entertainment purposes only.
Oh, sure. For my entertainment purposes, the trucks are, because they're just all over the place. I feel like they're less controllable and more high speed in general. But I think for that amusement part of like entertaining, it's more fun to watch the trucks. But at the end of the day, I do enjoy the track. So I'm gonna go with entertainment wise, like, because the trucks, they start to do some pretty insane thing with, like you said, like, oh, it's that's the next step to, oh, it's there's all of the engines and all of that stuff involved that it starts getting added. That can get a little insane. I don't know. What about you?
Well, it's hard to know. It's difficult, right? Because like the truck pull, right? It's slightly more impressive because it's like a truck is smaller than a tractor, right? Just in general, right? As a general rule, most trucks are smaller than pulling tractors, right? There are small tractors, but those are not the ones in the tractor pull normally. So like
it's the unmodified.
Yeah, right. So you got your John Deere lawnmower out there, like
of the like Massey Ferguson like 100 series from
that's a
1920.
little tractor, right? like, but I've also seen some small trucks in truck pull. But so like
anyway,
but I think for sheer zaniness, like the tractors just look like the super modified tractors, whatever, they look incredibly ridiculous. And so I don't know. I like watching the tractors, I think. Now, this is, of course, a person who has not been to a truck and or tractor pull in a very long time.
Many a year.
So,
well,
I'm going on old memories only, right? Nothing new or current.
Well, I mean, not a whole lot's changed. I would
no, I would imagine. I just don't have fresh memories to draw upon, right? These like 15-year-old memories, meaning like, I think it was cool, kind of, right?
Yeah.
The thing, again, it's an attention span issue for me. So it's like really cool for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, okay, this is 4 hours long. This is not okay.
That's kind of the way Megan was towards the end. We were there for, I think, all of like 7 minutes. And she was like, well, okay, I'm...
I mean, yeah, you kind of see one tractor drag a sled down a mud pit. Then like, okay, like...
But they had all sorts of rules that I guess never really paid
rinse,
attention
repeat.
to. They have, in these size classes, they have speed limit on the tractors. And if you went over the speed limit, you were deducted point from your total pull.
But isn't it kind of like a race, though? Like,
well, no, it's because it's about distance. I don't know.
That's true, I guess.
It's very weird.
I don't either.
I
don't know how it's judged.
Yeah, don't understand.
I know that the weight moves on the thing. That's all I
moves
know.
forward on the sled. As you drag it, it makes it harder and harder to pull. So that was fun. And I kind of intentionally stayed at the starting line because it's generally less insane there than it is down toward the end, right? Where like they're going
when they start bogging down, just like giving it everything,
and it's just kicking and bucking, and they're really
mud
revving.
Flying everywhere.
Yeah, and the other thing here is that these weren't doing the super starts where if where they really get that rev super high and
like jump up in the air. Those are crazy.
And the big black billowing smokes. Again, these were not that, which was very nice. Which made this again. I enjoyed watching this. It was enjoyable. It wasn't just like, oh my gosh, like holding on to stands, like what is happening. It was not that. It was more, oh look, a tractor driving down a dirt lane.
True. I do remember that when I went to like the first one that I ever went to in Rogersville when I was like very small, I have the distinct memory of being like, this is the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
It was so loud.
Yeah. And they're very impressive machines, and it's absolutely insane the engineering and mechanics that go into just making those, especially the
well, and also when you think of like a dude made that in his shed.
Yeah.
Right? That's the impressive part. Like, it's incredible engineering for like a dude. And his friend in a barn.
Like, really
what?
It's insane. It's insane for me to think about that. And it's, neat to watch that. And yeah, these guys out there, and there's, the drivers they're 80. There was one kid who was like 9. It's neat too. These people who tinker away, right? And just maintain their things and then go out and pull heavy objects. That was fun. I enjoyed that. We made prior to that, we had made our way over to the sheep barn, which we had never walked to ever. And the sheep barn 3 years ago was like, they completely tore down the old one, which was a little sad. But it was 100 years old. And it was.
Was it tearing itself down?
It was Ann Barn, and they were like, we need, and so it's like $8 million barn now.
Good gosh,
yeah, well,
that's crazy.
It's massive. It's basically the barn size of like a football field or longer.
Jeez,
it's longer than that. It has to be. Yeah, it's longer than that. And it's just obscene. It's insane. And so we walked over, and they were kind of at the end of all the sheep stuff, so there weren't crazy amounts there, which is fine because it's not overwhelming. But we got to see sheep. We walked through the rabbit and poultry barn, and that's really fun because all of the cages for the rabbits that are being judged are all on tables, and so it's like the rabbits are all right at eye level for the kid. Yes. Like, it's just like boom, rabbits in your face,
giant rabbits.
Yeah, giant rabbits everywhere. And so the one thing that I did not do this year that I wanted to do was I really want to talk to the judges and be like,
oh yeah, like
what
are you looking for?
Are you, because
how does one judge a sheep?
Yeah, because it started with the rabbits because they have them all on these huge long tables with cages on them, and then each farm or each person who's there to have the rabbits judged has little sections of that table that they designate with ribbons. People decorate their areas a little bit so you can see kind of themes of where people are, and then they take their rabbits for the class or breed or I don't know, and then take them to the center judging table. And so you walk by, and it's just like 100 rabbits in a row, and they all look the exact same, like exact same. It's like just copy and paste. And
so is there like a breed standard, like a dog show, maybe?
Exactly. Okay. Breed standard. They're looking for certain things. They're judging for certain qualities and characteristics. And I was like, tell me what you're doing.
Like, give me like one, right? Like, what am I looking for?
Yeah, that's what
ear floppability.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Cotton-tailedness. I don't know.
Yes, cotton-tailedness. That has to be one.
Probably one of them. And because the same thing when we went through the horticulture building, so they were judging plants. So this is where people all like, and I'm like, there's just a gaggle of judges walking around the room, and I'm like, what? Why is this azalea better than that one? I don't.
Oh man, flower judging is insane. That's some crazy stuff.
And especially since it's like, and they're judging all sorts of stuff. So I was just like, I want to know. But it's kind of the same thing with like judging of all of that. Like last year we went through the it was the meat barn, and so it was like, oh, here's all the cured ham, and here, right, this one is the best cured ham, and you're like looking at everything else around it, and you're like, what?
Oh, I didn't. Wait. What, they judged the finished product? I thought they just judged the pig. No. I didn't know that there was like a category for what happens next.
Yes. Right? Brandon. There is
step 2.
Oh yeah, there is
things that used to be a pig, like
used to be alive and now are not. Yeah, I
had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, that's how you get like the state fair best pie and the state fair best.
Okay, I knew like a pie, but like I didn't know that like ham was a thing, right? Like
ham. It's all the meat products in their various forms, like the marbling or whatever. Like they do that. They also judge. Get this, at the FFA building was doing judging on soybeans.
I knew they did things like that.
Yes,
I definitely don't know how one judges a soybean
and corn, and cotton,
obviously
cotton,
corn,
and all sorts of stuff. Where they're like, "This is the best cotton."
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that
because that's how you know what to plant next time. You're looking for the
and then that
ones.
farmer can take that and their techniques, and because it's all it's their cultivation, it's their environment, it's all that stuff that comes into play. So it's extremely complicated, and it's way above my head of understanding comprehension of what exactly is going on.
That's true.
So
me as well.
That was fun. I really
did. You see any obnoxiously exotic ducks in the poultry building?
we did not because
poultry.
So unfortunately, poultry is early in the fair.
Okay.
So the barn is the first half of the fair is poultry. Second half of the fair are the wabbits.
Dang it. Okay, fair enough.
We did not see
one duck update. Did you see any excitingly exotic duck species firsthand?
Unfortunately, no duck species observed.
Dang it.
No. We went to the art building too, which is fun. That's the other thing about this is that the state fair is literally the size of like a town. It's it's almost 400 acres in size.
So I always like underestimate how stupidly large it is.
And,
right?
And they have genuine paved streets and full size buildings that are huge, like massive buildings. They're just like, this is this one. And this is the only thing we do in this building. Like
cure hams. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, pretty much. That's what the meat building. But this one is just for their art building. And
that's cool.
That's neat because it's like just like a hodgepodge of all different arts and art styles. The state fair committee or whatever they're called picks an artist in resident every year, and they kind of showcase their things throughout the building. Neat. Yeah, so it's like that's pretty prestigious to be able to showcase your work, not in a judging context, but in a like I have been selected to
like an art gallery context.
Yeah, it is. It's a massive art gallery, and they've got photography and sculptures and all sorts of stuff that have matriculated their way up to the state fair to be judged at that point. So it's a really neat building with a lot of stuff in it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we didn't make ourselves over to the rides because we're going to save that for this weekend. We were just kind of trying to get some sightseeing. We went through obviously all of the farm implements and equipment, and didn't this year. I don't know who is managing state fair committee. You're on blast.
No,
the dealers locked the doors to the machines, which is not fun.
Illegal.
We have a 4-year-old
who's obsessed with big giant industrial machinery.
Yes, and just wants to sit in everything. And we ran up and we were trying doors, and he'd be like, "What about this one? What about this one?" And I felt it just hurt for me to be like, "Bud, I don't think we can get in any doors this year. I think they have them all locked." And he was like, "Oh, well, I'll stand next to it." Oh, it hurt. Oh, so we did. He did get to climb. They had a full. They had a massive combine there. Like it wasn't brand new. It was used with 1 year of use.
Is it gently used combine?
Gently used combine for $400,000.
Oh my gosh!
It was huge. I mean tires. I had put my arms up and I couldn't touch the top of the tires in this thing. It was huge. So they climbed up the ladder and went across the walkway over to get to the cab and stood next to it. I took the picture. We're happy. So we did all that, and then on our way out, whilst eating and funnel cake, We
as one does.
As one does. We were surprised by a vintage tractor parade. And
as surprises go, that's a pretty good one, right? Like, of the things that you could be surprised by at the state fair, that's pretty high up on the list of things that are actually cool, right? Like,
oh yes, like this thing was amazing. I was so cool. It was so cool to see all of these, and they weren't in any particular order. It was pretty much just like a line up and go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a little disappointing. Like, it would have been neat to see like the oldest ones first and
put them in like a timeline. Yeah, like,
timeline, or here are the John Deeres or Massey Fergusons, or here are the Harvesters, or here are the Cases, or here's the Fords, or whatever.
I feel like it should go in order, just like chronologically. Like, here's the oldest one first. Like,
but I don't know if they know like who's going to show up with a tractor.
I don't think they do. They're just like
powered. Like, I think they're just like whatever.
It's probably just like, if you have a tractor, be here at this time.
I'm pretty sure
you're in.
And yeah, they had Molines. They had just like, and some of them I love where they're like, some of them you could tell like this person is this guy is like, I adore this tractor. Like, this was my granddad. It's been meticulously maintained and repainted and repaired, and this is like, I love this tractor, and obviously everyone loves the tractors. And then there are people who are like, I found this at a barn, and it is unrecognizable in coloration. But here is like, I've left the patina and I've not restored it. I've just got it running.
Those are the coolest ones, I think.
Those are the coolest ones.
Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah, we've got those. And there was even like there was like a super mega early combine, which was a side by. So you were riding in it in like this weird sled, and then the thrasher was right next to your face.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Those are like horrifying.
Oh, no. Like, there's, and like there was some that have like the open, like whirring fan belts. And I'm like, see that? That's why farmers don't have fingers.
That's true.
And there was also like another like kind of still early combine, was like this little tiny thing. It was super cute. And just all sorts of tractors with some of them had implements on the back too, which also made them cool. Of like, yeah, that is a 2-row plow, and now like that tractor can only plow 2 rows at a time. Now we have ones that are like a billion rows at a time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's kind of cool to see that. And I seriously don't think there were any tractors in there newer than like the 70, which was also neat.
Nice.
But they had some massive John Deeres in there still, and some just gorgeous, like, oh my gosh, Massey Fergusons, where it was like, oh.
It's weird that Dad's tractor is almost old enough to be in the vintage tractor parade if you have tractors from the 70s in there.
Almost.
That's upsetting.
Most of these.
That makes me upset a lot. Like, very upset. A lot. Very. That's distressing. That tractor and me are close to the same age, so that's very not okay.
So that was
unacceptable.
Not okay. I'm not. So that was a great day. That was a great way to end, of just like a mishmatch of
surprise tractor parade. That's a great.
Because we're sitting there, we're walking and eating, and then you just see a tractor driving towards you, and you're like, well, that's not unexpected at the state fair.
True. But then you notice it was followed by more.
Yes, as they rounded the corner, and we were like, we're going to sit down and we're going to see what's going on. Like, I have no idea, but we're going to observe. Oh, so that was it was the perfect day. It was like 80 with a breeze and partly cloudy. So,
yo, dude, today I was cold. I don't know what happened. I don't know what mysterious witchcraft is happening, but I was like, it's 65 degrees right now. What?
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm going to leave the back door open for a little bit.
It's like, I need to take my jacket to work today. This is weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And so then I mean, I have talked about my love of farming on the show, and how I have desires to be and farmer,
A hobby farmer.
a hobby farmer. This did not help at all.
Oh no! I think it gets worse every year you go to the fair.
Every year
I think
go to
it
the fair,
like the desire increases just a
It
little
does.
bit more
It
like
does.
every time.
It does. Watching Jeremy Clarkson's farm did not help in any stretch of the imagination.
True.
Now watching all these, and then you know what I did?
Have you been watching the other? You got to watch the Tudor Monastery farm.
The
That'll
Tudor
really
Monastery
get you
one.
going.
That doesn't help. So then what I did was I went and I was like, because you see these tractors and you're like, that tractor, I don't know how much that's worth, but like, oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine. And then you go and you're like, what does a vintage Massey Ferguson that you could like actually use on a farm today? Which, by the way, the fact that these tractors, like, this again, just the longevity of these things just continues to blow my mind. Of like,
Oh yeah,
like you could literally put an implement on it and go to work today. Like that. So when I naturally when we returned, and I was on the internet, and I was like, oh, for like $4,000, like you can have
oh yeah.
one of these. I was like, oh, oh no.
You can like we talked about this the last time we talked about farming very seriously. That I was watching that YouTube show about the guy that like he just found a tractor and he's doing a farming season with like only found implements.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So like the tractor, the dude, it was just like sitting out in the field, and it's like dude's like, yeah, it hasn't run for probably like 20 years. And they spent like a day and a half, like kind of working on it, and it runs like they had to like clean out the gas tank and like bleed everything and like replace some fuel lines and like
Sure.
sand the points in the distributor, and it started. So it's like what?
Yeah. And now I understand that like if you were wanting to get one of these for a hobby farm, I think the hardest part would actually be finding implements for it. Since
That's true. So it's old.
It's old, right? And finding the connection points, and I know the PTOs haven't really changed a lot, but there's a lot more
that's true.
Connections.
Yeah, but if you are buying just like old used stuff too, because there's lots of places around. Well, there's caveat. There are lots of places in the Midwest that just sell like old farm equipment.
Yeah.
Right. Or like there's like a bazillion farmers that just have like old stuff in their barn.
Yeah.
Because they don't sell it, right? And they're just like, it's
you
in
can
there.
find them at sales and whatever.
Swap meets and stuff like that. Yeah.
But here's
they're around.
all the equipment. In my research, there was also I started to realize like, okay, like I think finding the implements is still going to be difficult, but since most tractors haven't changed categories, like, there's still this implement is designed for 40 horsepower tractor. Well,
yeah,
40 horsepower for today is pretty much the same as 40 horsepower as, unless it's anticipating other electronics or a different drivetrain or
but a lot of the stuff is not anticipating electronic. It's just like plug in PTO, hook up hydraulic line, done. Like
exactly. So anyway, all this to say that Noah decided he wants to drive the combine to harvest the corn we're going to plant on our farm.
Oh, well, there you go.
Lily wants to plant strawberries.
There you go. Very nice. I don't know how you harvest strawberries, so that'll be exciting. I
think you tried.
But I have no. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, that was amazing and a lot of fun. So we're gonna go back this weekend and ride, and that's what we're going to do. We're also going to take a loop by the. So we stayed on the
more funnel cakes, obviously.
More funnel cakes, but we stayed on the south side of the fair, just kind of looped around the south side. The dead center is more of the shoppy and rides, and then the north side is where you get the indoor arena for the rodeos and stuff, and then there's the horse and cattle barns are on the north side. Then the east side is the big outdoor arena where ZZ Top is currently playing right now.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, we were leaving and they were doing the sound checks for the drum, and so it's just a guy hitting a snare drum like
Oh yeah,
just over,
sound checks are the worst.
over, and over and over, and then there'd be a light tap and there'd be a heavy tap, then we'd go back.
Yeah,
and Megan was like, "What is he doing?" I was like, "Sound checking his drum kit."
yeah.
Well, he's not sound checking. He's having a person go and do
Yeah.
a sound check for him.
Well, this sound check is being done.
Yes, yeah, it is being conducted. So that, yep. So it's a
Nice.
huge property,
There you
and
go.
good.
See all the giant horses are another thing where it's like the variety that you will see in a horse is like absurd, right? Like,
Yes. Yep. Usually at the end, I think that's when they do. I think horses might be earlier, and then cattle towards the later. So I think we're just going to see cows. But again, show cattle. We stumbled across them last year, and they were giving them exacting haircuts and trims to showcase.
that's true. Oh yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Like, that's okay. So,
Well, I think like as a non farm animal expert, right?
to say the least.
Yes, that's putting it mildly. I would say that like if I was gonna have the choice between looking at cows and looking at horses, it's gonna be horses all day long, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like ride them, right, or anything like that. But like I think there are like to me, the untrained eye, the differences in horses are much more stark and easy to recognize, right? So you can sort of just as a lay person appreciate them easier, right? Because you can just tell like those horses are different, right? Those are different kinds of horses. Whereas at a cow, you're like, I am like, yep,
look,
also a cow. Like I don't really know.
hello, moo.
There's a few. Right? There's a few that I know, like for sure. Horses. It's much more obvious, and so it's easier to expert in this field. Horses are cool and impressive to look at.
They are. Well, and yeah, I think there's just for me, there's more familiarity with them as far as more connection.
Also
and,
true.
And yeah, you can definitely tell more size. But so I just see more variety there. I think that's for whatever reason. I'm sure the cattle, big cow will be writing in to let us know of all the different varieties and possibilities that they have there. So
yeah.
But yes, and those are cool barns too because they are like original. So almost all of the buildings on the property are pushing 100 years old or so, which I just love. So that adds an aesthetic to it. And the horse barns are some of the original buildings. They definitely have a really cool feel and architecture to them, and just how they're laid out too, of like very long rows with stalls on either side, and how they have also all the traditions that are there of here is where we hang the plaque for each farm that's here showing, and that's how we hold it. And you can see the banner is this way, and they're allowed this X number of stalls per person and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, just a lot that goes into it that you don't initially think about. And it kind of gives you a more appreciation for that. And I just like seeing that. I like seeing those things continue to carry on. Even though I am not taking part in any of them, I think they are.
And I don't even know what they are. It's like whatever.
No clue. I think they are important and need to be around and make everybody better when we know more about them. It's so yeah. I enjoy, that's another reason why I enjoy going to the fair is to see a part of society and culture that we I personally and family are also very disconnected from.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool and important stuff to do that. So we know.
Yeah, are you fully integrated back into your school room?
Yeah,
now?
pretty much. Like the kids will come back on Tuesday,
Ah,
right? So tomorrow is open house. Yay! I love open house. That's my
I'm sure
favorite.
you do.
I love staying at school till 7 o'clock at night. It's the coolest. So it's fine. It's whatever. I'm basically done with my stuff. Like I don't really have a whole lot to do tomorrow, so I don't really know what I have to watch some more training videos, like everyone's favorite bloodborne pathogens training video. Oh, it's beautiful.
I don't. Oh.
You know, it's just like we have to watch them for insurance purposes.
Oh, sure.
So like there's a link to like a website. It's like a third party company that like curates them, and then you log in with your school registry, and then it tracks that you've watched them. And there's like a little quizzes and stuff you have to take along the way, like answer these couple questions as you do it, right? So it's for like insurance purposes and stuff like that. So it tracks that you have watched them and it's done. So whatever. I was sitting in my room typing some stuff today. I put it on my board. I was just watching it. It's like, okay, typey, da da da. So I did a bunch of that. I did some like just random housekeeping stuff, right? Like whatever. Like I changed one of my activities in the first unit. I did some stuff. I changed my progress monitoring protocol, right? Like, I'm gonna do this. I had to go meet with the science team, talk to them a little bit. Fun, exciting. Yeah. So just kind of doing stuff, right? I feel it's a little bit weird, right? Because like everybody else is like doing all this stuff because they have all this like new things. Like all the English department has like brand new stuff, and like there's a brand new math curriculum in elementary, and they're all like, "Oh, I got all this stuff to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, do like
over here."
Yeah, I'm just don't mind me just not doing stuff because I don't. Like my stuff is already done because I've done it before. So I'm like, okay, yeah.
Sure.
That was a little bit awkward, but like, it's all right. So just last minute stuff, random meetings about nonsense. Big meeting today that should have been an email, right? You know, all that. Oh yeah, I love those. So, you know, it's all right. Just like, okay, my brain is sort of turned back on to like, oh yes, school, work, right, okay, got it. I understand now.
Yeah,
it's a hard switch for me to make.
Ears are engaged.
Yeah, it's all right. So we'll have we have Thursday was tomorrow, right, and then we're off Friday and Monday. So 4-day weekend, and then the kids come on Tuesday. So, yeah. So it'll be good. Just ready to kind of get started now. At this point, I'm like, we're just going to start, right? Like, I'm not a person that needs everything to be just so before I begin a thing, right? I'm kind of just like, all right, I got pretty much let's just start and see what happens, right? Like, let's just go.
Yeah.
And then like, as we're going, we can make changes as needed. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I am, like personality wise. And I know a lot of people I work with are not like that, right? They must have everything exactly so before things can begin. And I'm just like, let's go. Let's just start, see what happens, right?
Move.
Like there is a certain level of things I need to do first, right? I'm not just like going to jump in there without doing, right? Obviously, but like,
sure.
My threshold for like completionism is not very as high as theirs. Right? We have to get things 100% done before we leave. And I'm like, 80 is good. And we can just go for it, you know? We'll just start and we'll make it up as we go, and we'll just do changes as needed, right? It's all good, right? It's fine.
Right.
I'm embracing the scientific method, right? That's what I'm doing.
Nice. Look at that. Good you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm just kind of like, I have to put some like final things away because, I don't think parents like random papers scattered around when they come in to see the class for the first time. So, just some finishing tidying up and putting stuff away. And then I got the majority of that done today while I was watching my videos.
Oh, good.
Some tidying up, like, oh yeah, this needs to go over here because I can't leave it on this table. So where am I going to put this? I have more room in my filing cabinet now, so I have some space for. Wonderful. So yeah, it's kind of stuff. Just gonna do that. So be good. We had some adventures though outside of school, right? So we were a couple weeks ago. We were up at Susan's mom's house, and like her sister was there, and her niece was there, and her niece has an adopted daughter, right? Who's like 15. Okay, she's like did foster care, and she's like the guard, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Hey, do you think that it would be okay if sometime I went and spent the weekend with Brandon and Susan?" And we're like, why would you want to do that? I can't think of anything more boring than coming to spend the weekend with.
Gosh.
What she did last week, she came down, we went to meet him in Springfield, and she came down here and hung out and stuff. So it was, I guess she had fun. Cool. I don't know. Yeah, so we did. We went to Barnes and Noble because we were in Springfield. So we just had, accidentally stopped there. Oh no. Oops. Yeah. Whoopsie daisy. I ran a couple errands and then came back, and they did some crafty things, right? Because Susan's been finishing up library-based craft, so she is also a very artsy person. So they did some like painting and like hung out, and yeah, it was pretty cool. We went and saw movies. So I have a movie review for you. Oh yes, we actually saw two. One earlier in the week with our friends, and then we went and saw one with her. So movie review corner incoming. But yeah, we went and saw her mom for a little bit and hung out. So yeah, I think she had fun. But I could not for the life of me figure out why a 15-year-old person would want to come down here like on purpose and just like hang out. Like, yeah, so we're gonna read and get some takeout and sit around.
Go and yep. You're the cool one, right?
I guess. I think we're the more laid back ones of the so there's that. Like
that's a big thing.
Yeah. So it was nice. I guess she had fun. It was fun. Kinda because we don't like see her very much, so that was kinda cool, right? Sure. Hung out. Did whatever, so yeah, that was our big adventure. A person decided to come see us.
A person wanted to spend time with
and I, very confusing, but so we went and saw the movie we saw with her first.
Okay.
Movie review corner.
Movie review.
As these movies are still in theaters, this will be a spoiler-free movie review.
Okay.
Movie talk, right? We saw it with her. We went and saw this movie called Fall, right? Which is exactly what it sounds like. It is not about autumn. Spoilers. Okay. These like so the beginning of this movie is very like vertical limit. It's about climbing. Okay. So like these three friends are climbing a rock face. This is the first scene in the movie, so this is like relatively spoiler free. Climbing a rock face when an accident occurs. Dun 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 dun. And one of them, you guessed it, falls. Boom.
Oh, no.
And then small critique. Their rock climbing safety procedure is absolute trash and should not be replicated by anyone ever. Because
okay.
It's very bad. They had in so they were doing that thing where like two people are tied together and they're climbing.
Yeah.
You know, we do that. Guess how many anchors they had set in the wall between them?
Oh, did they have one?
They did have one. How did you know? Dun dun dun.
Well, because I thought surely it's not 0 because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's
why are they even tied together if it's 0?
Yeah. That's why I was like, okay, surely it's at least something.
It was 1 badly placed anchor point.
Sounds like
anyway, so they do that. And so the dude that falls is like one of the girls, like the husband or something, right? They're like in love or whatever. And so she is very devastated. Okay. Her other friend is gone for a while, and she like comes back like months later. Her friend is still a wreck. And so she's like, let's go on an adventure. It will cheer you up. And so their adventure, they decide to climb to the top of a super mega tall radio tower. It's in like this place looks like kind of like California, Nevada-y area. It's like very deserty and empty, right? But it's like this. Sure. They keep saying the word 2,000-foot radio tower, right? And so they climb it.
Okay.
And then things go not good from there.
See that? Understandably.
Yes. So the movie, they get like stuck atop the tower, right? Yeah. And then they have to cope with being stuck atop a tower that's like 2,000 feet up in the middle of nowhere. What looks like California, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. It was all right movie, right? It was okay. It's not like amazing, but it's okay, right? This is produced, I found out later, by the same people that produced The Tragedy of 47 Meters Down, my most hated movie of all time. This one is better a little bit, right? So it's not as trash as that movie, but
hey.
So I would much rather watch this one. However, Susan is a person who is afraid of heights, and she was watching this movie, and it triggered her like hardcore, and she did not.
Oh my gosh!
She was like very uncomfortable watching from behind fingers, right? Like she was not doing well. So if you are a person who is even like a little bit afraid of heights, do not watch this movie because they do lots of like, oh no, this is very high and bad. Like they do a lot of that, right? So, so don't. Wow. If you're afraid of heights person, do not watch Fall. I mean, let's be real. You could probably get that from the name of the movie, right?
Yeah.
But don't do it. So it's a pretty good movie. It's one of those movies. It's like it's a trapped kind of movie, right? You're trapped in an area. This movie has like 4 people in it, right? So I think it was made for like $8. So even though like it's still pretty good, even though it was made for like $8 and like it's not like super amazing looking and stuff, but it's pretty good, right? The stuff's pretty good. It's visually good. Visually, apparently, if you're afraid of heights person, enough to be scary. So
well, it sounds like it kind of fits in the genre of movies that I was talking about during, not to go back all the way to our, continue to go back to our shark episode, but
that's important.
Like the premise of like normal everyday activity goes terribly wrong. Although this is a little outside of ordinary because who goes and climbs a 2,000-foot radio tower?
Well, exactly. That's true. But yeah, it is sort of a seemingly innocuous situation goes bad, and then you have to deal with the outcome, right? It's like it falls into the realm of believable.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, other than like, why would you do that? Like, however, I did learn doing some Googling after the movie is over. Do you know where the 8th tallest radio tower structure in the United States is located?
Gotta be honest, I don't know why I would know that piece of Trivia.
Well, I was Googling tall radio tower because they kept saying like this is the tallest one. And I had remembered that there was some sort of like really tall radio tower in California somewhere. I believe it fell down at some point. So I was trying to figure out like what this movie could be, like what this tower could be based on, right? Because they kept saying the name like everyone would know it.
Yeah.
But like it's made up, you know. But I was doing some Googling about tallest structures in the United States. The 8th, according to Wikipedia, I believe it was the 8th tallest structure. There was a radio tower structure in the United States located in Fordland, Missouri.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What does it do?
That's what.
Or what?
See if I can find that list again.
What?
It was. Yeah.
Darn.
Yeah.
How tall is it?
It was like 600 and some meters. So it's like about the 2,000 feet that the movie was.
Yeah.
See if I can find it again. Yeah, tallest structures in the United States.
Yeah. And importantly here, this is structure, so anything standing tall.
Yes, not just like, but it is a masted structure. Where did it go? I can't find the list again. It was on there though. It was like ridiculous. It was like 600 something meters tall. I was like, what the heckles is that? So yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, so that's I'll try and track down that list and include it in the show notes because that's
oh, here it is. Yeah, it is 609.6 meters. It is the KOLR tower.
Oh my gosh, it's for a TV station.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I think that's what it's originally for. It's the Guide Mast Tower, Fordland, Missouri. I'm going to send you this. There you go. That's the. I learned that. Exciting piece of news. So this story could happen in Fordland, Missouri.
Oh, perfect.
So
now we know.
Don't climb radio towers, especially not ones in Fordland. Don't do it, listeners. I must say, disclaimer: do not.
Amazing. And again, these are not highest altitude. These are just like from base to tip. Like how
tall they are.
Wow.
That's stupid high.
Yeah. It's almost not okay. Like I don't even know.
Yeah, it's so tall. I was shocked. I was looking at this list and I was like, what's Portland, Missouri?
Yeah. Who?
You telling me I grew up 10 miles away from this thing and I didn't even know? Like, what the heck? Yeah, there we go. That's shocking revelations from the movie Fall. Unexpected revelations.
Unexpected. I feel like that's just like a continuous theme here.
That's true. It's like a tagline for the show, right?
Like, and then we looked around the corner and found
a vintage tractor parade. Oh!
What? Ah. Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. We watched that movie, and then we also previously in the week we go with our friends. Like we ate and like cooked and everything, and we went and saw that movie Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. That movie is hysterical.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's like,
okay.
It is like if you are a person that likes like stylized, over the top kind of action mixed with a wee bit of silliness in your life, that is the movie that you need to watch, right? Like it's very, it feels like it's very like a Guy Ritchie movie with like just a really quippy, weird, joking dialogue, right? And then like really sudden bursts of like really bizarre action sequences. You're like, what? Like what? Well,
what's the overall premise of it?
overall premise is like Brad Pitt is some sort of like uh, he's doing some kind of job. It's like a snatch and grab job, right? He's some sort of criminal,
Okay.
right? Who is on the side having some sort of existential crisis about his life. That's the side plot. He's like supposed to go on the train, steal a briefcase, and get off. Right. And then things go very, very, very downhill from there. Right. Turns out the briefcase he's trying to steal is like ransom money. And like there's these dudes on the train that are like supposed to deliver the ransom money to this mob boss. Right. And then he just sort of interweaves from there. But it's cool in that like it's one of those movies where like every little thread connects somehow to something else. Oh, and then like later on they will jump to that and be like, oh, I remember this. This is why it's important, right? Yeah. Kind of like a very like stylized thing, like introduce a character with like a title screen, you know, like blah, the thing. And then they sort of like all the little loose ends in this movie tie up together.
Oh, that's right? Super satisfying.
It is very satisfying, right? Like maybe not everything. I maybe missed some, but like the big plot points and like names of people and stuff. It really all connects in these really satisfying ways that are just like, okay, that's nice, right? Like it all connects together because again, it's like a trapped room kind of because the whole movie takes place on a train, right? Okay. So it's like Die Hard on a train, right? Like, like okay. You know, and so like the whole movie's on this train, and there's all these different characters that show up, and they're all have these various goals, but some of them you have no idea what the heck they are and why are they here and how do you connect to the story. And then like once you figure out that everything is connected, like you get these little hints, and so you're watching it trying to figure out how these are connected. Like, why is this person here? And they'll be like a seemingly random person. You're like, what are you doing here? Like, and then later on it all wraps up nicely about how they got on this train and what their goal was and all that stuff. You're like, cool. And it's a movie that like, I bet if you watch it a second time, it would make even more sense because you get dropped these hints in the middle. Because it does that thing whenever the revelation happens, it kind of does a flashback moment. Yeah. To like something that happened before. And you're like, oh, that was this person the whole time. Done. Oh, interesting. Like, that's why they couldn't find them, right? Like, this big, like, convoluted plot just sort of like gets distilled down to these moments. And then they all sort of tie up in a little bow at the end. It's very satisfying to watch. So it's like really overly stylized, and that's not everybody's cup of tea, right? Not people like that. It's way more humorous than it has any right to be because the dialogue is actually pretty good and some of the characters are funny. It is mega violent though, so if you are a person who doesn't like that, though, don't watch this movie. But I thought it was hilarious. Good warning. So, good warning. Yes, good warning. Some people not into that. That's cool. But if you don't mind, it's fine. But it's like over stylized by like, you know, with the lights and the filters and everything like that, making it look all like hyper realistic. Not like it's not like gritty, you know, or like like those gangster movies where it's like realistic. This is not a realistic turn of events that are happening in this movie, right?
Obviously, yeah, take a step back. Like, this is but some of those of like, okay, this is kind of absurdity at its finest, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, like it's kind of like it's got the little bit of that like Kill Bill flair of like this violence is over the top on purpose, right? Like it's just like way more than is normal. Like
yeah,
there's some moments like that, but it's kind of like artsy and whatever. But it's kind of it's the opposite of the movie Fall, which is like a movie that is very grounded and realistic and things could happen except for like maybe one or two things. So like it's like reeks of realism, and then on the other end you have Bullet Train, which is like there's nothing realistic about this movie. At all.
There's no way.
Except for the premise that a person would try to steal a briefcase. That's probably right.
There
Like
you go. It all
People-
comes together.
people steal briefcases. That's the realism. After that, it's gone. Like it's
Uh-oh.
but we enjoyed watching it. We were like laughing the whole time, so that was
That's
good.
good. I mean, that's a sign of a good movie. I don't know. I like being able to laugh at movies. They
Yeah, it's nice when a movie like doesn't take itself seriously, right? And like it knows, right? It knows
Yeah.
what's up. So it was pretty good. That's what we did. It's my exciting movie review corner. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just getting ready for
Great.
one last weekend of whatever and back to work. Children coming back.
Right.
Da-na-na.
Well, that's
Pretty
good. Yeah,
much.
because this was your first summer without doing like summer school and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. It's the first one in a while. I had done one other one before, but not for a while. So
How was
Yeah.
that? What's your how's that been for you?
it was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Just because I needed some. It's nice to not be thinking about school stuff. Just sort of, even though I didn't do anything, right? I didn't go anywhere. I didn't like have big summer plans. It was just sort of nice to just sort of be
Oh,
and like not have to worry about that kind of stuff.
yeah, I think I was just talking with somebody about that day of the importance of finding mental space much more than finding physical space away from things, of like not being able to have a period of time where you don't have a mental burden is extremely important to do,
Yeah.
especially depending on the severity or the longevity of the mental burden that you're trying to bear. So like being able to wow, I don't know what word I was trying to say. I think I was trying to say unhitch. But I also tried to say unhook, so it came out unhook.
It's all right.
From that, really does give you that recharge that you need. And like you said, it doesn't have to be like, oh, and then I went and I was also, 1,000 miles away on, isolated in a cabin or on a beach or whatever. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
I can just
Yeah.
unplug from where I am.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
that's what I need.
Yeah. I mean, that's just fun too, right? But like,
For sure.
I don't require that. Like, I just like, okay, boom, we're doing this. Done. Like, just be at home, hang out, do some stuff around town, whatever. Right. Most importantly, watch the Tour de France in July. That's the big one, right? Relaxing.
Yeah.
Watch this.
It is.
But yeah, it was pretty good. So it did make coming back to school slightly harder because my brain was like, "What is this? What do you mean work?"
But Gandalf going,
Yeah, it's like, what is this place? I have no memory of this place. So like, I always have that like struggle of getting back into school mode, right? It was a little hard until the other day when I went with the science team and we talked about like department goals and like stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I got you. I know what we're doing now. Okay. Because the first day, it's been really hard. The other thing that's been really hard about going back to school is this year they had a bunch of, I think I might have mentioned this last week, there's a bunch of meetings that are about the new curriculum
yeah.
only. So like everybody in elementary school has to go to this writing curriculum meeting, except for me and my friend that teaches 6th grade math, right? Like, we're the only ones that don't have to go.
Like, well,
So we're like,
catch y'all later.
you guys have fun. We're gonna go. I don't know. Go to my room and I'm gonna watch them do something. I don't know. I gotta.
It's going to be very important.
Yeah, like I'm gonna make some new activities. I guess. See you later. Put my rock collection to use. That's what I'm doing, actually. Blam.
Y'all have fun. We're going to play with some rock.
Yeah. So see ya. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do.
I guess I'll just this is bye.
Yeah, it did inspire me. The meeting did inspire me. Like the 10 minutes of the meeting that I needed to hear to help do it in RTI or whatever. I started planning my progress monitoring pieces for class because I was trying to figure out how way to like. So we have all we have all these like essential standards, right? That are like what we have deemed to be the important ones.
Yeah.
The most important ones to talk about. And then we have our like supporting standards, like the ones that go with it, but they're not like the focus, like we talk about them, but they're not like the big ones, right?
Sure.
So for the big ones, like the way that I was monitoring how students were progressing was it was a little too clunky, right? It took too long.
Oh,
It was just kind of unwieldy. Like it made sense to me, but like implementing it was kind of difficult, right? So I came up with a plan to streamline it, and we're going to see how that works. We're just going to go for it, and we're going to see what's up, and then whatever. So, I came up with a new way to do it. Like, hopefully, take less time. Like later, not the first one. The first couple are always difficult because they're like, "What do I do?" But this one, I put everything in a Google form, right? And I'm only going to do it one standard at a time. So also we can spread it out more. So we don't have to do it like multiple the same day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I can just be like, here it is. Bam. And it has their little like I can statements, their student first language in the form. It has a brief little like rundown of what it's about. And then like whatever the question is, I either wrote a question that they have to respond to, or some of them are going to have like a diagram for some of the skills, especially like the convection currents one, right? Like describe what is happening in this diagram. Boom.
Yeah.
And then they describe it, and then they have to rate how they feel about their ability to answer the question. Done. Boom. So hopefully that will go quicker because it's all self-contained in one place. And I can put all the things they need to know and pictures or small little written things in there. So it's self-contained and they just do it. And then they go. And that way I can compare what they thought about their ability to answer the question and what I think about their ability to answer the question.
Yeah.
Much easier. Because that's the hard one. Because a lot of them are always like, we do a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale, right? Like 4 is like, I got it. Don't worry. 1 is like, what are you talking about? Right. Like,
sure.
And then 2 is like, I kind of know, but I need some more help. And then 3 is like, I can do it pretty good, but I might need a little help. Right. And 4 is like, I totally got this. So a lot of times they rank themselves like a 2, but like the response that they give me is like, no, that's good. I don't. Mm-hmm. Like you put a lot of detail in there. And that's pretty right. So I don't know where you got this 2 nonsense from. Like
what's going on? Yeah.
And that's where we can talk about it like later on too. So
sure.
Hopefully having it all together easy to compare. Plus then I can just like wipe it and then if I to monitor the same skill a little bit later, I just send them the same one again. And then we can directly compare how they did last time versus the next time, So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. I was trying to make it easier to use because when it gets too clunky and hard to use, like I don't want to do it either, So I'm like, it's hard. It's going to take a lot of time and I got to figure out where to do it. But if it is streamlined and easier to use and the kids can figure out how to do it better, then we can do it more often, which will be more beneficial for them. So we'll see.
Well, that's a really important metric because part of learning and growing is yes, knowing fact, but I think also very importantly being confident in your ability.
Yeah.
And that, because that can impede or it can progress your way through material. If you have that attitude of, well, I think we've talked before of like, I'm always bad at math.
Oh yeah, that's
I'm
the
never
classic
confident,
example.
right? Like that's, yeah, super classic. Like, but that impacts how much effort you're going to put into studying,
Yeah.
how much confidence you're going to have in your answer, how likely you are to second guess versus double check. Those are two different things, and how likely you are to change or things. You can. It really does start to mess with the head if you go in and you are unconfident, not confident in your ability. It really does impact how you're able to answer and learn material.
Yeah. And the fact that it's going to be like you're going to get multiple opportunities to answer this question, and it's going to be the same question every time.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, like you get a chance to do it again. Right. You get multiple attempts to answer the same thing. Right. And I think that's important too, for not only for building confidence, but for just practice, because this is just practice, right? That's all it is. It's just practice. It's not the final assessment. It's practice. Like it's not for any grade. I'm not doing anything with it except for looking at like, okay, this person is still really struggling with this skill. So what do I need to do to help them? Right? Like what can I do different for this person to help them on this journey, right? That's all it's for. It's not for a grade. It's not for anything. So I think the multiple attempts and like getting the hardest part is getting them to be like, I don't care if you put anything down. Just put something down, right? Like, I'm not grading it, but I am looking at it, right? Like I'm going to look at it. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to record this in my data sheet, but I'm not going to put it in the grade book, right? That's for other stuff. This is only for, I had to build a spreadsheet. Blech. Gross.
You mean, hooray.
No. But that's the big thing that we talked about in the science team meeting when we were talking about the, sorry to turn this back into Brandon's education corner again. But
I don't have a sound effect for that.
Okay. We'll have to get a stinger. We were talking about like the concept of it's okay to fail, right?
Oh yeah.
Now the problem is, and the other guy brought this up. He's like, yeah, but like in other places in school, they do fail, right? Because like if you don't have this certain grade, then you can't play basketball. So like there is failing happening, right? And so we talked about how for our departmental goals that we had to write, right? Like we need some kind of vocabulary change, because we all agree that it's okay to fail is a good mindset to have, right? But it doesn't really jive with the reality faced in the rest of the school, right? And so we kind of talked about that. That's what we meant. We meant it's okay to not get it right the first time. It's okay to be quote unquote wrong about something, right? Because as we know in science, you're not really wrong. You just got an answer that you weren't expecting, right?
Sure.
It's like it's a surprise. So we decided that like we're going to talk about perseverance a lot more, because that's what we really mean when we say that, right? It's okay to, not maybe get the right answer the first time, but it's as long as you don't quit, right? That's the part that we want to talk about. Is like, it's the not quitting part. It's we're going to try again. No problem. Yeah. We're just going to try again. Well, and that's what we mean when we say it's okay to fail. Because like in the science department, like we really push you can try it again, right? It's all right. We're going to learn this. We can practice it. We can do it over. So what we really kind of decided we meant was we want to like instill that perseverance where we're only really failing if we quit. Right. Like,
well, I think it's still important to recognize that I think it's, defining what failure actually is.
Yeah.
Because consequences are still important. and sometimes there are consequences for our actions, right? And so
yeah,
that's so that the example of you didn't get the grade, so that's you don't get to play ball. That I see that more as a consequence, not as a straight up, not as an actual failure.
that's true. But as a high school kid,
yeah,
you're gonna quote fail. You're failing the class, right? So I think in that, because you're right, and we were agreeing with what you were saying, right? Like,
sure.
yeah, you can fail, right? If you don't try and you do less stuff, like that's like we don't want that. We would rather you not do that, right? We want to create a place where that option is not appealing, but it's kind of it's a vocabulary. Like we were like, just to make more sense to the kids and not be like confusing, because there are different kinds of failure.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and focusing less on the end point and more on the process.
Yes.
Right. Like that's really where you're refocusing a lot of that effort of going, yeah, we're not going to like that. We're going to try and work in the middle space between these.
Yeah. So like perseverance just sounds better in that context. It makes more sense with what we were kind of talking about. So that's what we put on our little paper blap. Like
now it's official.
Yeah. But just because that's the important part, right? That's the important part of this. And again, like the science classes sort of lend themselves a little easier to this naturally, because that is like getting an answer that was not expected, quote unquote, failing, and then like looking at that and then trying something again. That is the scientific method, right? That is critical thinking, problem solving, engineering skills, right? Those are the things that the science classes and standards are talking about all the time. So that's what we want to have in our classroom. And so we just have to word it slightly differently because that's the engineering process, right? The engineering process is like, you do a thing, it didn't work, and then you go, okay, what now?
Yeah.
Right? Like you didn't fail, like it just didn't work that time, right? So you just go, okay, undo this thing. That didn't work. Do new thing. That didn't work. Do a new thing. Ah, that worked. Okay, good. Got it. Right? Like
yeah.
Like you said, it's the process to go through to try to do that. And the other day I was like beating my head against the wall because like my first unit is all about that stuff. And so I was like, what questions can I ask? What scenarios can I present these kids that will get them thinking like that? And it is not possible. It was so hard. I was like, I don't know.
It is, because especially since
because you want a real life scenario, because you don't want to give like a science experiment, because they'll be like, what do these words mean? You're like, no. I want
yeah. Especially since because society is set up for people are quote unquote successful. People are quote unquote failures when they don't meet these things. And you have to have such a broad discussion about societal expectations, internal motivation, influences and desires that you have. Like, it's just, there's so much that you have to trudge through to get to the point of going, now do you see why it's okay?
Yeah,
because it's not a black and white thing. And for especially for that age group and what a lot of the cultural stuff is, it's a very black and white. And
yeah,
trying to get them out of that, good luck.
Yeah, and they don't like. And so I just like, okay, I got to give them something, like, because I was just focusing on like asking a question that you can then like do something with, right?
Sure.
Like the old it's got to be testable or measurable, right? So I was like, okay, got it. Real life classroom scenario right here. Your pencil is broken. You go up to the pencil sharpener. You put your pencil in there. It makes the noise. You pull the pencil out. Nothing. What question do you ask now? Right? And at the beginning, I know for a fact they're going to say, why didn't it sharpen? Not the best. But hopefully we can get some things like, is the pencil sharpener full? Is there something stuck inside? Aha! These are things that we can check for, right? Boom. So hopefully trying to lead them in that direction with some like real world things that you will actually encounter this in your life. Okay, this is what you're gonna have. This is gonna happen in 6th grade, like every day. The pencil sharpener sucks. All right, we know it's fine. Yeah. But and the other thing that we did before, like last year, I remember I was doing like the reading a graph one, right? It's like read the graph. That's it, right? But like they don't do a lot of that before they get to be. So like it's really like they want to put like a really like they're expecting to have to write some like really like elaborate convoluted answer,
right?
But like I'm really just like no. Look at this line graph. Which line is more? Like,
yeah,
that's your answer.
Ta-da!
Like it's a lot more cut and dry than some other thing. Like I just want like because it'll be like which one of these paints dried faster, and I'm like a line graph, right?
Yeah.
Like which one's shorter, right? Like which one is less time?
Why we display them like this?
Yeah, so you can just look at it. But they're like. That's all like they're expecting to have to write something like really big. And so they'll just look at it and they'll be like, I don't know what to do. Like which one was faster? Like that one. Like, why do you know? Then they'll look at you and be like, cause it's shorter? Like, yeah. Like, what? Really? Like yeah. That's it.
That's why.
It's not I'm not trying to trick you, okay? It's like it really is that.
Yeah. Well, that comes back into that. How confident are you in this? Right?
Yeah, not very. That's
not very at all, and that's fine, right? And we can start to match these up a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think it's important with those questions that you're asking to point out to them. See how much more confident you are now, right?
See how better you did.
This is that for you, like how more natural it comes now after we've gone through all of these things. That's what the process we're wanting.
Yeah, right? It's almost like we did it on purpose.
Don't tell anybody. Right?
That's true. But yeah, it's really funny when they sort of realize, like, wait, this one took longer, so the bar on the bar graph needs to be longer. Like, yes.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, I joke about this. I think I've mentioned on the show before too, but like I joke about the joke in my class is like scientists are literal, right? Like they're not creative, right? You know when something was named by a scientist because it's like tall mountain, boom.
Yeah, now they may use Latin words to do that.
That's true, but like that's what it is.
But that's what it is.
Like we talk about all the time. Like it's very literal. Like they want you to know exactly what they mean when they say it. They don't want there to be guessing. They want there to be like mystery. No, boom, this.
Yep, like this. The species of fish that I studied was Fungulus grandis. Why is it grandis? Because it's the big one.
It's right? the big one, right?
How do you tell it apart from all the other Fungulus? It's the biggest one.
It's the biggest one. Surprise! Like,
yay!
Yeah, they do that a lot with like animal species or like, except for like ornithologists. They're weird. They're like, whoa, some really crazy thing. But other ones are like the great bird of paradise.
Yeah,
because it's the big one. Like,
look at they are.
Got him. Like, it's the hammerhead shark because it looks like a hammer. Nailed it.
Yeah, literally. Oh man.
Like, oh yeah, sharks are another good one. Like, this is a black tip reef shark because it lives on the reef and its fins are black tipped. Boom.
Next. Yeah.
Next. This is the oceanic white tip. It lives in the open ocean, and the tips of its fins are white.
Get that? Everyone tracking here?
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The scalloped hammerhead, because the hammer on its head is scalloped.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon paid attention at Shark Week. This
Did, yeah. That's pretty.
All this is coming from.
It's also just a really good example of what I tell the kids all the time. Like, it's.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell them when they're writing their science stuff. Is like, name it like a scientist. They'll be like, what do I call this assignment? I'm like, what is it? They'll be like, volcano article. Like, so what should you call it?
Yeah.
Like, volcano article. Like, there you go. You guys.
We have a winner. Ding, ding.
Or yeah, like they always do that when the severe weather presentations that we have to do. They're like, what should I call this? Like, what is it? And they're like, what are you doing it about? And they're like, hurricane. Like, so you should call it. They'll be like, hurricane presentation. Yes, there we go. And it will help you find it in your file management. Like when you're looking through, be like, where is? Oh, there it is.
Where's that hurricane assignment?
Where's that hurricane? Oh, the one that says hurricane on it. Yes.
I'll start there.
Kablam.
You too, listener, can implement these easy-to-use tips in your life. Label them.
That's true. Just name it exactly what it is, and it'll be fine.
Perfectly fine.
Name things like a scientist. Right. Yeah.
And I think on that bombshell, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Good. Okay. Well, you enjoy your last few days of freedom, and
indeed. Continue reading murder mysteries. Right. Dun da da da. That's what we're doing.
Keep that going the year round.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did forget to tell you one small thing. I may have bought the Lord of the Rings that was illustrated by Tolkien edition. Yeah.
Okay, well, so obviously the next time we're all together,
have that too. Okay. It's pretty cool. It's like the big giant, like 3-in-1 edition, right? But it has all his illustrations in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's my Tolkien collection over here. Got going on. So
on that other bombshell, we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
Okay. Love you, bud.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.